Now, you may have realized that that voice of God was actually the voice of Steph. All right, well, welcome, everyone. First of all, welcome back for the people who are with us this morning, the partners who are with us in the session this morning, and welcome, a special welcome to all the people who've joined us for this afternoon. It's great to have you with us at our first ever Cisco Small Business Live event. So it's very special for us, hopefully very special for you as well, and we look forward to what I think will be an interesting afternoon. For those of you who saw me this morning, you may be feeling this is like Groundhog Day, but it's okay, I promise you it will be different from here on in. Okay, now let's talk drums, first of all, because, actually, let's just do a quick check in the room. Any of you out there drummers? Anyone going to admit to being a drummer? Yeah, are you? Really? Cool. All right. Well, the reason I have drums up here is because I started to learn to play drums myself when I was 13. And the problem with playing drums is they're quite loud. And so my dad always used to say to me, I wish you'd taken up the flute. Because, I mean, really, playing drums in a house is pretty antisocial. I mean, ideally, if you're going to learn to play drums, you would have some kind of outbuilding that it's fully soundproofed that you can go to and bash drums around. And the story for me was when I was 14, and I thought I was really brilliant at that point. I spent a very late evening with my brother bashing away on a piano and me bashing away on the drums, thinking we sounded pretty cool. But unfortunately, we did get a knock on the door the next day from the council telling us never to do that ever again. So, of course, so the truth is, you know, if you really want to practice drums when you're growing up, it's quite helpful to have access to, you know, money, buildings, studios, that kind of stuff. Now, the interesting thing for me is, and it's only interesting to me really, is that my daughter, who's now nearly 17, she started playing drums about a year ago. She wants to take after her dad for some reason. And the advantage for her is that, unlike me, who had to stop playing drums and basically play on rubber pads throughout my teenage years, she gets the luxury of playing on a fully electronic drum kit, which feels just like the real thing, and has basically brought what would have been incredibly expensive, you know, buildings and all of those kinds of things right into the house. And she did make me promise not to make her look like a spoiled kid by showing this picture on the screen. But I guess the point is, you know, that things that were once inaccessible, you know, in the old world, you know, through technology advancements, and frankly, this is a drum kit that really does feel like the real thing. And when you're playing it, you're convinced that you are the best drummer in the world, and you have all access to music that you can play to and drum along to as well. This is a phenomenal transformation in the way you can learn a musical instrument, and this applies to lots of musical instruments today as well. Another example, of course, if you look at, you know, how technology has evolved and changed the way we think about what we can do in today's world, think about CCTVs in days of old. You know, that would have required specialist cameras, some kind of specialist setup. Any company that wanted to secure their premises might also be looking at investing into security guards, you know, watching in the control room and all this kind of thing. But the truth is today, you know, even in your home with a $200 camera, you can be looking at who's knocking on your door, and potentially you don't even need to be in the house. You can take a look at who's knocked on your door and have a look at who's there. So the accessibility of technology is phenomenal, and of course the capability of the technology is far superior than anything you might have been able to do before as well. And if you apply this to the business world, what was once, you know, the realms of what only large enterprises could do in terms of skilling up IT departments, creating big data centers, building big, you know, incredible infrastructure, being able to store data about their customers, store their intellectual property, and also be able to protect it to make sure nobody had access to it. You know, the truth is that today, a small business has access to all of that type of capability through, you know, simple devices and cloud setups, and which kind of means that there's no reason why a small business shouldn't be able to compete on more equal terms with a big business and potentially completely disrupt what they're doing. And we see that happen all of the time. And for some reason, somebody stuck this slide in here as well. I think it was somebody from Meraki, just to point out that you can always go and buy a Meraki camera if you want to. Now, I guess most of you were here for the opening keynote yesterday. Were you all here? And so you saw me talk about the Cisco brand and the fact that the Cisco brand and the logo was predicated on the Golden Gate Bridge, as we showed in the illustration. And I talked about our campaign, which we call the Bridge to Possible. And I made quick mention of it on the main stage, that Bridge to Possible, calling it a campaign is kind of doing it a disservice, because it implies it's just something we're going to run for a bit and stop. But it really is about who we are and our mission and purpose in the world. And I think that when it comes to previous campaign and brand efforts on behalf of Cisco, this is probably the first one that plays out for both large enterprises and for small businesses as well, which is why we're so proud of it and why we think it will actually have a lot of legs and longevity for the way we're going to run it. How many of you have seen this advert? Did you all see this advert in the airport? So whether it was in your departing airport or you saw it here in Barcelona, the joke in marketing is that when everyone thinks about marketing, we should be just showing up in airports, and actually we are now, which is quite nice. But the whole point of this, and the reason I bring this up, is that as we think about how we want to do marketing and how we want to show up in the market, we wanted to have a brand campaign effort that can both play out in terms of what we do as a company, what we serve for businesses, whatever size, and of course, whatever we can do to help people in the world as well, as I talked about. Oh, I did that last time. Right, before I show you this, anyone who saw me do that this morning is going, you did it again. So there is a video I'm going to show you, and the point of this video is that when we think about what we're doing for small business and what we're going to be doing in small business, we sometimes find it easy to forget that we're already doing a lot in small business, and we sell a lot, and there are some fantastic examples. The great thing about this example, unlike the one this morning, is that it's a nice, easy, understandable English accent. So for those of you who are here this morning will understand that joke. But anyway, I'll play the video and let you watch it. Oh, there we go. Thank you.
Moments like these are the soul of golf. And now you can experience them without going to the course.
A lot of folks come in and think they're coming to a traditional driving range, and they're, wow.
Drive Shack is using technology to shake up a 300-year-old sport for people who like their fun on demand.
We view ourselves more as entertainment, the combination of restaurants, sports, hospitality, entertainment, kind of all mushed together.
Cisco drives the entire experience, automating more than 1,000 connected devices and making applications work together in real time to seamlessly analyze your swing.
We started as a small team, and we needed a partner who could truly be an extension of Drive Shack, and that's what Cisco was for us.
And with technology that scales, Cisco deployed enterprise-grade small business solutions to support Drive Shack's plan for growth to 100 more locations. Between a fairway and a new way, there's a bridge. Cisco, the bridge to possible.
All right, so I think a great example of a company that's really entirely based on the use of technology to create something entirely new and a new experience for their customers. Right, let me run you through the agenda for this afternoon. So we have a pretty packed session for you, and we're going to invite Bastian up in a second to talk about the opportunity for small business for us, how we see that, and most importantly, what we're thinking about for the customers in the room. And he's also going to have a quick discussion with Wendy Mars, who leads the EMEA region for Cisco, as part of that. Then we're going to have two gentlemen who gave me a suggestion for how to describe them, which I won't use now. Maybe I'll use it later on. So Gordon and Andy will give us some insights into, actually, in many ways, the emphasis is around software and how software really is driving the impact that we need, and how that really is helping small businesses to be able to digitize the way they're doing things. Then we're going to have a break, and as I talked about this morning, for those of you who are here, I'm delighted that we have Piers Linney with us. Do you want to just wave your hand? And I I'll tell you what, I'll describe a bit more about him before he gets up on stage, but just to say, you can see Dragon's Den, there's the clue. He was a dragon in his previous life. And then we'll wrap up with some takeaways, both from you in the room. So please, if you are thinking about things and you're thinking, okay, this is a key point for me, then we'd love to hear that at the end of the day as we wrap up as well. All right, with that, I'm going to invite Bastiaan up to talk to us about small business.
Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you very much.
There you go.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first ever Small Business Live. For those of us who joined us, we're very, very pleased to have you all here and spend the afternoon with us. And we're looking to predominantly talk about small business, obviously, but more from the context of what we're really going to be doing about it. We all know the opportunity is big, so I'm not going to talk about the opportunity per se. What we do want to talk about is what are we specifically doing to something Jeremy just mentioned, which is leveling the playing field using technology for some of the businesses out there. There's a lot happening. Obviously, everybody faces competition. What we see is that there is a unique opportunity for Cisco to really drive a differentiating element for small businesses to compete better and be more successful in their market by using and leveraging technology. And before I invite Wendy on stage to talk a little bit more in specific what we do in EMER, I just want to share with you what we have built from a portfolio perspective and why Cisco is more relevant than ever for small businesses. First and foremost, you will see that we're not necessarily talking in technology terms. We're really looking to talk in small business need terms. Every small business needs to connect. They have some compute, they need security, and they need to meet or collaborate. Now, the unique feature that Cisco offers to this particular set of customers, which are small customers, they're not necessarily technology savvy, is that we have built a portfolio that works seamlessly together, whether it is on-prem or in the cloud, and it provides flexibility for small businesses as they grow, as well as they shrink, or as their business circumstances change. So it really is a very, very agile environment for them. You see here that there's different components. We actually have a lot of demo on the side of the room that you can enjoy later if you haven't seen so already, but we actually want you to see and feel and experience the technology that we have as well. We are, as a company, more committed in small business than ever. And you'll see elements of this in this afternoon, but I can tell you that we're doing an incredible amount of work to really work across the company, every single function, to build a business model that is going to make us successful in this particular market segment. Because the market is big. This is a $7 billion market just for EMER. It's growing, and it is a very profitable market if we work this together. And the time is good pretty much everywhere in EMER. All of the small businesses are continuing to develop. Innovation is coming from small businesses, and it's a really good time to invest together. So I'm hoping that by the course of this afternoon, you'll get a lot more clarity on what we're doing with the portfolio. I urge you again to use it for yourself so you can see it. You can actually feel it and see the benefits that it brings to you. But the key differentiator for us is relevancy in portfolio to make small businesses more successful than ever. That's what we're building across the company. Now, we're very honored to have Wendy here, and I'd like to welcome you to the stage, Wendy. Thank you very much. How are you?
Good.
Yes?
To be here. Great to be here.
You can see here, it's the first time we're doing this event in Cisco Live Barcelona, actually globally, so it's a premiere. And we do want to test a few things out in small business, because it is obviously a a segment that we've tried a few times, and in EMER in particular, just to get your views, where do you see the opportunity and what does Cisco do to actually support that from a small business perspective?
Okay, so I think the fact that we're actually doing this here today for the first time properly is a really important sign actually for all of us, because Cisco has now realized and is appreciating the size and the scale of the opportunity in the small area of commercial. And if I look, you mentioned it yourself, it's a $7 billion opportunity in the region of Europe, Middle East, Africa, and Russia. And that's actually bigger than the opportunity in public sector across the region. So it's significant for us all. And, and if I look at some of the steps around, in order to be able to capture that, we need to work together, to deliver against it. And there's some fundamentals that you have to have in place. And one of those fundamentals is a portfolio that is relevant and appropriate for small business. And, if I look at that, the time that we're spending now as an organization to have that availability and readiness is happening now. And if you look specifically within EMEA, the level of entrepreneurialism that we see across many countries within our 123 countries in the diverse region that we have of EMEA is significant. So being able to work with small businesses to embrace and support driving that entrepreneurialism is critical for the success of our countries and our markets and our businesses within the region.
Absolutely. 123 countries, that's quite a lot to cover. I mean, like being used to working in Asia Pacific, which is also quite diverse. Yeah. But that is a lot to cover, and the portfolio and it all seamlessly working together is, I think, a key difference from what we have tried to do in the past, which we shared in the morning, but for the customers who just joined us, we are looking holistically across the company to actually build the right approach for this particular market segment, because it is quite a unique market segment. If you look, for example, at the higher end of mid-market or even mid-market, right, they're pretty similar to what we'd see as enterprises in terms of how they think and what they need. But we do see some specific challenges as you look at small businesses. So what do you think these challenges are for small businesses that we need to work on?
I think some of those challenges are around making sure that there is a simplicity around how to engage with the technology and capture the value of the innovation. If I look for us within Cisco, I think we have spent many years building our life on the complexity around the technology, and it's a case of now it's not about that anymore. It's removing that complexity from our customers, and specifically around the small area. Now, if I look at that, though, there are some areas where, yes, there's uniqueness, but there's a commonality of challenge. At the end of the day, there will always be areas around security, compliance, privacy-based challenges, which hit all types and styles of organization, independent of that size and scale. But it's helping to, I believe, simplify, remove some of those challenges, but also have an openness by which you can embrace the entrepreneur within the small business for differentiation. Jeremy said at the beginning, any business, no matter where they are in the world, no matter the size or the scale of that business, is the next and can be the next disruptor. Right. So for us to work around helping to capture that, helping to accelerate that, is incredibly important.
It is indeed, absolutely. And the other thing that we see, which is, I think, typical for small businesses as well, is there seem to be more and more small businesses every day, right? So there's an incredible amount of innovation that is coming, particularly in this segment, which is a lot more agile than some of the other larger customer segments. And in addition to the unique needs and agility that they have, they're obviously expecting different support models, right? So looking at all these differences that we have in this segment, what do you think we should be doing more of to actually not necessarily just sell more, but actually help these companies to perform better? Because they are a very important part of GDP growth. They are a very important part of actually the workforce participation rate in many, many countries. So what can we do more, you think, in terms of really making sure that we not only accelerate, but really accelerate the impact in these businesses?
Yeah, and I think that's a number of things that we can do. And if I look at the ease of doing business with us,
right,
and simplification, so making sure that we drive that relentlessly through our organization, because we're a large organization that we're easier to engage with and deal with for our customers and our partners. If I look at the entrepreneurial spirit that exists, being able to capture that, and if I look at some of the innovation centers, the areas where we work, capturing that and helping some of those smaller businesses come to those environments and meet with each other and co-create, can be powerful as well as part of a disruptive model. And, and if I look as well around from a skills and capability standpoint, with the next generation of the workforce and as the workforce evolves more broadly, we see individuals forming their own businesses that you would never have dreamt would have happened previously. So there's anyone, I'm sure people in here today, those who are business leaders within their own areas or have teams and individuals who work on that as well. There's a creativity and a pioneering style and attitude which is quite unique in the market and stronger and will accelerate more, I believe as well. So it's how you harness that and some of the different capabilities to encourage and to foster that as well.
Actually, you bring up a really good point. It's not something that we've mentioned so far, but we are actually doing a lot in terms of getting the workforce ready through some programs that are more traditional, like Networking Academy, but we are training significant amounts of young, talented students all across the globe to actually get ready for a career in IT. But there's a lot more that we do, and I think that really is helping us set us apart as well from a company perspective. So, lots of exciting stuff happening. I know you are quite keen on customer impact as well. And I didn't want to make the mistake that Jeremy made by clicking too early to get the video started. So I put a slide in the middle, which is this one.
Yeah.
But I do know that you love customer testimonials. So if we could thank Wendy, first and foremost, for spending time with us. I know you've had a very, very busy day at Cisco Live. There's obviously many, many different events.
This is the best bit so far, though. I'm very happy to be here.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Wendy. Thank you.